All right, well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. I hope that what I present can at least live up halfway to that. Today, I want to talk about just kind of one aspect of a larger project that I'm working on. So I'm currently revising my dissertation for publication, and I'm still working around with the title, but I'm thinking of in relationships to performances of freedom in post-apartheid South Africa.
Hold on. Can you guys hear him down there?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have the most booming voice, so I was like, I was wondering where the mic was. But I consider Kwaito to be, as a musical genre and a performance genre, to be, one aspect of how freedom is enacted, how freedom is performed in the post-apartheid period. So I'll probably be going back and forth between reading from the text that I've already prepared and some sort of off-cuff remarks. And there are a couple of different media that I'll need to display. So there may be some hitches, but just bear with me as we're sort of going through here. Okay. Within months of the first democratic elections in South Africa, media and cultural critics began to notice Kwaito music as a new popular musical form that was taking black townships by storm and causing much controversy in its wake. Perhaps if it had appeared a decade earlier, it might have gone relatively unnoticed outside of black communities. However, Kwaito arrived on the scene just as South Africa was undergoing its transformation from apartheid. So within the nation of South Africa, socio-cultural developments, which in the past may have been confined to township space, were like black people themselves moving into other spaces. Kwaito, therefore, has become much more than just a musical genre created by young black South Africans in the wake of apartheid's collapse. Instead, it's become a prolific site for contemporary South African cultural politics and one barometer of black progress. These public culture debates surrounding Kwaito demarcate a set of productive negotiations about the constitution of post-apartheid South Africa, particularly in relationship to shifting class, racial, ethnic, and gendered politics in black South African communities. In particular, Kwaito serves as a site of cultural politics that brokers the constant interrogation and remaking of black subjectivity. Several scholars have each noted with various different conclusions the intense focus that Kwaito music places on the body, on pleasure, on materialism. Part of the criticism labeled against Kwaito performers is that such an intense focus on the accumulation of material wealth and pleasure represents a crass consumerism that is in stark departure from previous genres of South African popular music. Today, I want to consider just one aspect of Kwaito performers and their relationship with politics by investigating the role of the past in relationship to contemporary musical performance. I'm trying to argue that the citation practices of Kwaito musicians destabilize the easy dismissal of the musical form as consciously apolitical and unconcerned about the struggles of the past. Instead, Kwaito musicians' citation of the past reveals a group of artists that are extremely sensitive to the sacrifices made on their behalf. Their use of sartorial, sonic, and kinesthetic markers of previous South African musical genres indicates a sophisticated grasp of the present and a need to remember the dismembered past. In the latter instances, Kwaito musicians renew past musical milestones, updating them to make them sound fresh in the present, while simultaneously capturing the creativity and aura that made them hits of the past. Looking both ways has never been so pleasurable. So looking both ways at once, both to the future and the past, has never been so pleasurable. Now, through the course of this, I developed a couple of theoretical tools that I sort of use to analyze the material. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to go too deep in them. Just very basically, I'm working off of Gilroy's concept of conviviality, where he discusses how post-colonial cultures create a sense of conviviality that's about multiculturalism and interracial cooperation. So I want you to sort of keep that in mind, this idea of the memory of Sophiatown as sort of being a space of a kind of conviviality. And then secondly, I'm working off of a concept of musical memory, which is this idea that embedded in music is a set of narratives that can tell us as much about the past and how people remember it as any history book or any historical site. And so I'll be happy to explain those concepts in more depth later, but in the interest of time, I sort of want to move on. But just so that you have the idea of music as a site of memory and music being able to hold memory, and this notion of a kind of conviviality and sort of cross-racial, interracial, interclass cooperation. So the object of study in some ways is as much Sophiatown itself as it is Kwaito music, and the way in which the performers study, the way in which the performers sort of perform Sophiatown, right, and Kwaito. And so I wanted to say